Only around 20% of park runners can do it, and for most runners, a sub 25-minute 5K feels like that magic barrier that separates the casual jogger from the more committed runner. Maybe you're stalling at 28 minutes, or you're just starting your running journey and you've got no idea how to get faster. Spoiler alert, you don't have to run loads more. Every single week, someone breaks through that 25-minute barrier, and so I'm going to show you what actually works and how it could be you. I'm Russ, a 16-minute 5K and 2:42 marathon runner, and I've helped tons of runners smash their 5K time goal. I'm going to help you understand what your fitness level needs to be at using my own AI calculator tool to have a chance at cracking sub 25. I'll put a link below so that you can have a play around with that too. We'll also cover the training that will be involved, how long it will take you to get there, plus things like tapering, race day pacing, and how to tactically pull off your best race yet. The whole point of this video is to get you into a position so that when you stand on the start line of your next 5K time trial or park run, you'll have the confidence knowing that you're fit and capable enough to do it. So let's get you from running to truly racing a 5K and achieving that all-conquering sub 25 that you've always wanted to tick off. Well, the first thing to note is that very few people can just roll out of bed and run sub 25 unless you've come from a recent, very sporty background. You're going to need a few months of consistent running. But you don't need 7 days a week and have special genetics. Honestly, most runners overcomplicate it. And with the right plan, anyone can get faster. So to run sub 25 on the day, you need to average 4 minutes 59 seconds a kilometer or 8 minutes a mile. That might sound fast, but with some structured running, instead of those aimless miles and kilometers, which you're probably doing, it's so achievable. So to stand a chance though, you're gonna have to go through a dedicated 10 to 12 week block, and you should currently be able to run around 27 to 29-ish minutes for the 5K. If you're in that range, you've already got a strong base to build from. But don't worry if you're not, you can still break 25 minutes, but you're just going to need to give yourself a few extra weeks of training on top. Okay, so this is where the AI tool comes in, and it's going to be really useful for you to be able to figure out your equivalent race distances across 5, 10, half marathon, and marathon. So in this specific example, we're going to be looking at, let's say you've done a 10K in 55 minutes before. If you calculate the equivalent timing, it's going to give you a rough estimate of about 26 and a half minutes. And that's a really good base to be able to build from for your 5K training block. Likewise, if you did a half marathon in close to 2 hours. Now, where it gets really interesting and really cool, and this is being worked on all the time, is that if you input your own personal details, so let's take me, I'm 37, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm carrying a few too many kilos at 80 on 185 centimeters. And let's say I'm currently training 25K at the moment per week, 3 times, and the longest run of that is around 10 kilometers. So that's when we hit the calculate AI potential times, it's going to give us an approximate time of where we can get to based off of these stats, and it's going to give us some recommendations of how we can get faster. So what this is recommending here is that if I'm able to go through a decent 10 to 12 week training block and take on board its recommendations of dropping weight a bit between 65 to 75 kilos, the likelihood is that I'll actually be able to drop my time to lower than 25 minutes, around 23 minutes 20. That's after 10 to 12 good weeks of training. And that will be all of the rest of the stuff that we're going to talk about in the rest of this video. You can also reverse engineer it as well so that you can look at, let's say you were able to achieve that golden 25-minute 5K, then you're going to be able to look at equivalent times of around 50 minutes for a 10K or 150 for a half. You can then also calculate some potential times with the AI tool, showing that if I was well trained for the other distances, these are the kind of times that I could look at getting if I was to be as equally well trained for them as I was the 5K. Now, look, guys, I'm working on this all the time. I'll put a link in the description below as well, and I'll send you an email so you can get access to it. If you tried to break 25 before, let me know below what you think stopped you or helped you. Was it pacing, consistency, or something else? Perhaps you didn't have enough of an aerobic base, which is what the first 4-week phase of training is focused on. Because before speed, you need endurance. And if you're running fewer than 2 to 3 times a week, you can start by getting that frequency up a bit if you can. Ideally more towards 4 to 5, but you don't have to, but it will definitely help. Your key run here is your easy run. So we're talking zone 2 stuff, slower than you think, to the point where you'll probably be questioning how it's actually helping you. We're talking about 6:15 to 6:45 a kilometer pace, so between 10 to 10:50 a mile. Now, these should feel very conversational, we call it. It's where you can talk while running without gasping for breath. You can catch up with a friend or bang on a podcast. That's what I like to do. Add in one longer, easy run each week, around 8 to 10 kilometers at the same easy pace. But remember, you're not chasing speed yet. You're building the foundations to build that on top of. So these easy runs, they help strengthen your legs, your tendons, and that aerobic system so that later you can handle faster sessions without getting injured. Now, come the end of this first phase, you'll notice that you can actually do those easy runs at a lower heart rate level than what you did when you first started. And that's a really good sign that you're progressing. Now, once your base is solid, weeks 4 to 10 is about speed development, and that's where the fun begins. So we're going to drop the number of easy runs we do just so that we maintain the strength of those foundations that we built. And on top, we're going to add a couple of quality sessions that will help improve your aerobic capacity and what we call speed endurance, which basically means that you can start to run faster for longer. Now, the two key workouts I recommend specifically that target those two factors are threshold runs. So around 5:15 to 5:25 a kilometer, that's about 8:25 to 8:40 a mile. And you want to do that for between 15 to 20 minutes, and it's continuous running. You can split it into 2 by 10-minute efforts with a short kind of 90 to 120 second rest or so, but the preference would be to do it in one block. These runs should be comfortably hard. You're pushing, but still in control. And what you're doing here is you're training your body's engine to run more fuel efficiently. And that teaches your body to handle lactate and sustain effort without fading early. And then we have VO2 max interval sessions. So for example, 6 by 400 meters at 4:45 a kilometer, so about 7:40 a mile. And that's with about a 90-second rest in between. As you improve, you can extend that to 5 by 800 or 4 by 1 kilometer at goal pace. And what you're doing in these runs is you're increasing the size of your engine, which allows you to produce more power. So effectively, you're boosting your top end fitness and making that goal pace feel more manageable. Personally, I like to run them a little bit faster, 1 or 2 seconds faster than race pace, just so that on the day it feels even easier. Think of it like this. Threshold runs build your engine's endurance and efficiency. The VO2 max sessions, they make that engine more powerful. So each week, we want to be progressing. So gradually try to increase the volume of training that you're doing so that come week 8 to 10, you're hitting the peak of your training and you're running the most volume. Now, I tend to find this is the point where people tend to cop out the quickest. The hardest sessions need to be the ones that you really, really focus on. And how you fit that into your week could look like this. On a Monday, you could have a rest day or do some strength training. Tuesday, that's when you're going to do your intervals, your VO2 max hard work. Wednesdays, easy 5 to 7 kilometers or so. Thursday, you're going to do your threshold runs. Friday, rest. Saturday, another easy run. Sunday, your long run. Again, 8 to 10 kilometers, but easy. That's it. Simple, repeatable, sustainable, if you ask me. But you don't need 80 or 100 kilometers a week. Just a solid routine and that consistent effort. And look, if you hit about 80% of your plan, you're already going to be ahead of most runners chasing sub 25. Now, as race week approaches and you begin to taper, it doesn't mean that you stop running completely. You keep running, but you cut your volume by about 30 to 40% because you want to maintain the intensity, but allow your legs to freshen up a bit. Now, for a 5K, you only need a short taper. We're talking about 5 days or so. Rest 1 or 2 days before race day, or do a light 20 to 30 minute jog with a few 50, 100 meter fast strides thrown in. It's become quite popular, what people call now a shakeout. For me personally, I find that at times better spent with my feet up, but others like to get out. So figure that one out for yourselves. Now, you need to make sure that you're fueled and warmed up correctly for the day. So a bit of a carb load will help. Not too extreme. We're looking at between 6 to 10 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight in the 24 to 48 hours before race day. Now, follow that up with a carb heavy-ish breakfast on the morning. And that's if possible, because if like me and your park run starts at 7 a.m., you need to have a few hours to digest it to stop you getting some stitch. And I'm not getting up at 4:30 to eat. So a small carb snack on the hour before will be fine. Then when you're there, do a full warm up with strides. Get up to race pace, get a sweat on, get your body familiar with your target pace, and you're going to be ready. So you're standing on the start line, training's in the bank, you're feeling great. What are you going to do? Well, don't let the adrenaline and nerves take over. You need to pace the race evenly. The first kilometer should feel controlled, even a little bit too easy, if anything. But if your watch is showing 450 kilometers or faster, you're probably going a bit too quick. One of the biggest reasons for not going sub 25 is that inexperienced runners, they tend to go out too fast and blow up and pretty much have to walk that final kilometer home. Your best strategy is to run even splits. First 2 kilometers steady, 3 to 4 controlled and focused, and the final kilometer, give it everything you've got. Now, from 3 kilometers onwards, it's supposed to hurt, and it's going to. That's the test. It's around 10 minutes of discomfort for that reward that you've worked months for. And I find that so many runners run within themselves at that point. They haven't quite mastered how to deal with being in that pain cave. So just know that you need to give it as much as you can. I'm not going to lie to you, the last kilometer is really going to hurt, especially the last 500 meters. You want to come across the finish line knowing that you've left absolutely everything out there. You can hear it and see it in my breath, just how much effort has gone into me finishing here. I've left absolutely nothing in the bank. When you're breathing during a race, the common misconception is that you need to get out as much oxygen as possible, but your body can actually only use so much oxygen at once. Often the biggest issue is your out breath and actually getting rid of that CO2, which helps to clear the lactate. During your faster sessions, practice a 2x2 rhythm. So 2 steps in, 2 steps out during those harder controlled efforts. And that will help control your oxygen use and your CO2 output. And when you're doing them, think exhale fully rather than inhale deeply. And if you can and you've got the time, add 1 or 2 strength sessions a week. Squats, lunges, deadlifts, anything single-legged work. And they'll build power in the legs and they help ward off any of those injuries. And I know we've got busy lives, but if you can sneak something in, then great. Click the link below for the AI tool and I'll send you an email with access. Then you can see where you are currently and what you're capable of with some structured training. 5K is the perfect foundation for the rest of your running journey and an overall healthier lifestyle. And if you want to understand more of the health benefits that running gives you, check out this video right here. Ta-ra.